Hi everyone, welcome to a video on the Surf Center YouTube channel. My name is Nico Prien and today we're going to talk about windsurf boards and we're going to find out which board you're going to be looking for, which board it is that you need for your windsurfing career and what board you can perhaps progress into. We have a couple of different boards here, so we're going to look at them. I'm going to explain all the differences between them and we're going to find out what is the right board for you. To go really to the basics, you have to kind of decide on whether you want to go into foiling or fin windsurfing. This right here is let's call it a traditional windsurf board. So we're gonna have a fin inside. And then on my other side, we have a foil board. And I picked a particularly extreme foil board, which is very wide, to demonstrate the big differences. So foil boards will allow you to get going, to get foiling and having fun on the water in much less wind. So if you are from a lake and you don't have so much wind at home and you want to basically windsurf in light wind but still go fast and have fun, a foil board might be a right choice. So you might want to go down the foil route and then of course you can windsurf on a fin. So here you're really going to start having fun from, let's say, 15 knots on, maybe 12 knots if you have really big gear, but you want to have your consistent 12 knots to have fun on a fin windsurfing board. So once again, if you live on a lake, if it's gusty, you might want to go down the foil route. If you really pick your days to get on the water when it's windy, you might want to go down the fin route. And if you're super enthusiastic, you might want to do both. So you can also obviously foil and windsurf on a traditional board, which is what I do. I do both. I foil and I windsurf on fin boards. If you ask me what's more fun, I like both in their own ways, and especially when the wind is light, to me it's much more fun on a foil board. So now that you decided to go, let's say, with a fin board, you have a couple of different options. So obviously when you start to learn windsurfing, when you take your first lessons, you're learning on a beginner board. A really big board with a lot of volume, which is going to give you a lot of float and confidence. So you start to understand how everything works, how the sail steering works, how the board steering works, where you need to put your balance. Now, when you take the next step, so when you start getting into your own equipment, you are going to go into a board that kind of looks like this. We have a couple of different boards here. So let's start with this one right here. That's sort of a free ride board, which is just the next step from the beginner board. You have a little bit more sporty board, which is going to get you a lot faster. And then you have kind of a pro board, a slalom board, which is going to get you really fast, but it's not that beginner friendly. And then also you have a completely different direction. So this one goes more into the direction of wave sailing. So you have to kind of decide which avenue you want to take. Do you want to be a wave? Do you see yourself being a wave sailor someday? Do you see yourself being a racer or possibly a freestyler? Either way, your first board, your first step after being a beginner is something like that, which is a freeride board. So on a freeride board, such as the Magic Ride from JP Australia, you have a very wide outline. That's going to give you a lot of stability. So when you stand on the board and you don't have very good balance yet, is going to allow you to feel secure and safe on the board, even when you're not planing. Now, obviously, your next step will be to get into planing, to start using the harness, to start using the foot straps. Therefore, such board has a couple of different foot strap mounting options. For example, here you will see you have some more on the inside. This foot strap is now mounted on the outside. You can move it further inside, and the same goes for the back. You can mount them further inside, and these options allow you to learn using the foot strap much easier. So you have on the bottom of the board a pretty, let's say, plain board. You have a very relatively flat scoop rocker line, so the board is not bent extremely, just like a wave board. You don't have any cutaways as we would have, let's say, on the free race board. So here we can see we have some cutaways which will allow you to go faster, but that's not what you need on a freeride board. You need stability, you need ease of use, you need the board to get planing super effortlessly, and that's what this board is going to give you. You have these boards in many different options for the volume. So this one right here is 139 liters. Yet, when you progress from your first windsurfing lessons, you want to have something bigger. If you are around, let's say, an average male, 80 kilograms, you want to get something around 150, 160 liters. Otherwise, you're going to spend a lot of time upholding the sail, crashing, and you want to maximize your time planing and not struggling with the board. So around 80 kilograms, you start with 150, 160 liters, depending on how confident you feel. If you're a lady and you're around, let's say, 60 kilograms, you're going to go a bit lower. So then a 140, maybe still 150, depending on your skill level, is what you want to go for in the beginning. So your first board after taking lessons will always be a freeride board. Now, once you get into the foot straps, planing, starting to go faster, you can decide whether you want to progress on a freeride board, so you can go lower in volume once you windsurf in strong enough wind, or you can decide to go down the more sporty route. If you decide to go down that way, you're going to go with something like a free race board. Now with JP, that would be the Super Ride or the JP Super Sport, which we have here. And what you can see here is most obviously is that you have foot straps that are way further outside. So it's gonna get more difficult to get into the foot straps. You gotta be a bit more skilled. But standing further outside is gonna allow you to leverage the fin more. It's gonna allow you to go faster. The shape of the board helps you to go faster as well. We have, for example, the cutouts we've been talking about before, which allow you to go faster. It releases the water better. It gets the board higher above the water, but it also makes it a bit more difficult to control as opposed to a freeride board, which sits more connected to the water, and you just feel a bit safer. This one will ride higher above the water, will come loose a bit more, which is faster again, but more difficult to control. You also have a tuttle box, so a different fin box, which allows carbon fins, which allows to upgrade the fins basically, which is going to be a lot harder to find for a power box fin, which you have in a freeride board. If you don't want to go down the speed route, if you don't want to start going faster, you might as well to decide to get into wave sailing. So then you would want to get into a board like that. This is the JP Magic Move. And the most obvious difference to a free race board, a free ride board, is the outline. These boards will be a lot narrower. They will typically be smaller in volume. They will have sort of a pointy nose. They will have a more narrow tail, and they will have the foot straps further inside. That is because these boards will get you into wave riding. So they will allow you to turn the board on a much smaller radius, because eventually you want to do tight jibes, you want to ride the waves, perhaps you want to jump over the waves. So you also have a much steeper scoop line, so the nose is bent up higher. You might have a little bit of a tail kick as well, so the tail comes up a bit as well. And all this helps you to turn the board faster, to jump through the waves, to pass breaking waves. And this is kind of a board that will help you get there. It will also help you to ride in difficult conditions, choppy conditions, strong wind, and these kind of crossover boards will help you to get into that direction, to learn to deal with and cope with these difficult conditions. And then afterwards, you're gonna get a proper wave board, which has similar features, just more extreme, even more narrow, smaller nose, smaller tail, more inside. So just more extreme, but that's going to be real fun because you're going to ride waves, you're going to jump, and that's also what I like to do actually, ride waves. So you have your extreme wave boards, but you also have your extreme slalom racing boards, which looks like this. This is our JP slalom board. This is the one I personally use in competitions. And similar to the wave boards, you have those features which the crossover boards have, just much more extreme. So let's take a look at the bottom of the board. You see those cutouts. They're even deeper. You have your tuttle box. You have foot straps that are all the way outside, and you don't even have an option to put it further inside. You have also different constructions. You have a board that is much lighter, but a bit more fragile. You're gonna have to take really good care of it. But this is the board that's gonna get you really, really fast. But it's always a trade-off. Yes, it's fast, but it's more difficult to handle. It's more difficult to make a planing jibe than with a freeride board, for example. And that's where many people make mistakes in choosing their boards. They just go one step too far too soon. So you don't want to step on a slalom board too soon, and not even on a free race board. So starting with a freeride board helps you to learn the jibe, to learn the basics, to get everything right. And then your progression will be to a free race board or a free wave board. And then the next step will go to more extreme boards such as slalom board or a pure wave board or a pure freestyle board. So then even in these extreme boards, you have different volumes which allow you to plane in light wind conditions. For example, if you take a big slalom board with say 130 or 140 liters, you can get it planing in very light wind. And then you have boards that go very small for the stronger wind days. And then beside the volume and beside the kind of board and the kind of direction you want to go into, you also have the construction of the board. As I said, these pro boards usually come in very high-end productions, meaning they're more expensive, they are lighter, but they're a little bit more fragile. And these are really the three different factors you have when you look at constructions. So once again, you have the price, you have the weight, and you have the durability. But it's almost impossible to combine all the three of them. So you can have a board which is durable and cheap, but most likely it's going to be heavy. So that way you always need to trade off one of the three. Freeride boards are typically in the lower end constructions, so you're not going to have a full carbon freeride board. You're going to have these in usually 2 or 3 different constructions, depending on what brands you choose. And obviously the cheaper construction will get you a little bit of a heavier board. So then you really have to consider how often you want to use your gear, how often you want to go windsurfing. Is it just going to be for the summer every now and then? You want to get on the water all year round? Because I recommend if you want to make windsurfing your main hobby, then perhaps go for the little bit lighter board. And that's how you can kind of determine how much you want to invest in your hobby, in windsurfing. So if you don't do it that often, maybe go for the little bit cheaper version. If you want to do it all the times, it might pay off to pay a little bit more to get a lighter board, to have more fun on the water. Because if you divide the extra costs by all the sessions you're going to have, it's only going to be a small cost per each session. And usually it really pays off. All right, so I hope I could give you a little bit of an idea for your windsurfing career, what board you will choose going forward, how you will start. Obviously, we're here at Surf Center, our windsurfing shop here in the Netherlands, but obviously we speak English, we speak German, we speak Dutch. So wherever you're from in Europe, be sure to reach out to us. Also, if you have any questions, leave them down below in the comments. And I would say I see you guys in the next video.